Hey everybody, it's Kyle. Hey, today I'm going to do a quick video about something that I've been hearing a lot about from those of you that have kids on the spectrum that are, well, it's exhaustion. You're just exhausted, you're tired, you're overworked, you don't get enough sleep. It's tough sometimes to feel exhausted for so much of your life. And I get that. As you may know by now, I have two sons that are on the autism spectrum, and I have twins, typical twins that are 6 years younger than the younger of the two that's on the spectrum. And so I understand exhaustion. None of my kids really sleep very well, which means I don't sleep very well. And so I get it. And if you look up, how to fight exhaustion or fatigue on the internet, you get all the standard answers. You get, eat right, get plenty of sleep, exercise, maybe see a doctor to make sure you're okay. Those are the kinds of things you'll look up. Be healthy. And those are great. Those are great. And that's an important part of having energy. But I'm going to tell you a couple things that I've learned over the years that may help you a little bit. And so the first one is, for a few years in my life, I did a little boxing. And one of the things they teach you in boxing is, as you're boxing somebody and you're punching and punching and punching, you can get what's called punched out, which means you're just too tired to punch anymore. And those are the times they teach you, they create these triggers for you to put your hands up and protect yourself. Because you'll get exhausted. You'll punch, 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 punch. You'll get exhausted and your hands automatically drop. Well, that's when you're at the most risk. And so they teach you have enough energy to get those hands up. And so they always say, get your hands up, get your hands up. You'll hear them even in professional boxing telling these guys to get their hands up. And so anytime you're very, very tired when you're boxing, it's a trigger. It's a trigger to get your hands up. Otherwise, you're going to get whooped pretty bad. And you see this in pro sports. We all have a little bit of extra energy. We don't really in the tank. None of us ever use 100% of our energy. And so in pro sports, you'll see this. The NBA Finals were recent, and congratulations to the Cleveland Cavaliers for winning it all. But what you'll see is there was 7 games where they were just giving their all to win the title. And they're exhausted when it's over, and rightfully so. They've just worked and worked and worked, and it's been a long season. But as soon as the game is over and they win, they start jumping up and down, they climb up on the stage, they're running around, they're grabbing their families, they're going out and partying all night long. And what that tells you is there's energy reserves in each of our tanks that we can draw upon. So keep that in mind the next time you get exhausted. You have a little bit more, draw on that, and just lift yourself up a little bit and continue to go. My wife and I have this saying that goes like this: you got to do what you got to do. And so that's what you do. So I understand that all those other things that they talk about, eating right and getting enough sleep and all that makes sense. But for some of us, that's standard stuff. We need a little extra. And so, I've done a little research on this because I wake up early and go to bed late. I don't sleep well anyway, even without having kids. I'm just a restless sleeper, and so I don't really ever feel good when I wake up. And so I've looked into this, and studies actually suggest that 50 to 80% of your exhaustion and fatigue are due to psychological barriers. And that makes a lot of sense to me for our situation, because I know a lot of us have worry and fear and frustrations in our lives, and that can be a tricky thing. That can be very, very taxing. Working through a meltdown with a 16-year-old for 4 hours can pretty much do you in for an entire day. That's like boxing in a boxing match for some of us. So I understand that. The one thing I do want to leave you with, and there's 2 things really, is to anything you can do to lower your worry or your fear or your frustrations or any of those things that tend to wear you out psychologically, mentally. Those are the things that you probably need to work on more than anything. If you find you're a worrier, most of our worries never come to fruition anyway. But I'm not going to tell you not to worry. What I am going to tell you is try to understand that and manage that better. Or if you're afraid for the future, try to understand that and manage that better. Or if you find yourself frustrated regularly, we've talked about that a little bit on some of the other videos. If you can lower that frustration, maybe turn it into fascination. Maybe you can lower the fatigue and the exhaustion that you experience. And you know, one time I heard that 90% of all the great things that are done in this world, accomplished, are done by people who are tireder than you are. And in reading about those things, I've understood that's true. People push themselves to exhaustion to accomplish things, and a lot of those great things were accomplished while people were just really tired. So the final thing I want to leave you with is this. My oldest son went to college for a year one time and had a real tricky time. He was working, he was putting himself through college. He had a job that was 5 miles away from campus, and he called me one evening, and you could tell he was struggling. And he said, you know, my bike just broke. I'm 5 miles from my apartment. I'm going to school, I'm working, I'm exhausted. I'm just having a tough time, Dad. I can barely get all my work done. When I go to bed, I fall asleep immediately because I'm so exhausted. And he said, it's hard. And I told him, I know, I understand. It's a tough thing to do. I said, but it's okay to be tired in the evenings. As a matter of fact, it usually means you've accomplished something. So that's the final thing I want to leave with you. It's okay to be exhausted at night. It's okay to be tired at the end of the day. You should probably expect to be tired and exhausted at the end of the day. We work hard. There's a lot of things for us to do, a lot of stress, and a lot of things we have to manage. So when you, at the end of the day, if you're sitting there and the kids are all in bed, or maybe they're not, and you're trying to get them in bed, realize that it's okay to be tired. That's what life is about. It's about working hard and getting things done, and being tired is a result of that. So I commend you for the efforts you put into those kids. It's hard, and I understand, but it's okay to be tired at the end of the day. It usually means you put in a good day's work, and it usually means you care. So I want to leave that with you. Have a great day. I'll talk to you tomorrow.